The Central Club.
Do you need a work uniform? Want to start a clothing brand? Or maybe you have a football kit that needs a logo printed? Well, if I was you, I'd get in touch with the Re-Inspire Printing Company down Treforest Industrial Estate for the finest printing and embroidery in Wales. I use them for my custom-made mankini, but you could use them for t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and many, many other things. Do you paint houses? Fancy yourself as a bit of a handyman? Well, if I was you, I'd get yourself down to S&M Building Supplies near Victoria Park, Cowbridge Road East. We use them to paint up the Central Club, and it's looking fresh. But you can use them for tools, decking, sand, cement, and many, many other things. What's going on, people? Welcome to the Central Club. This episode is brought to you by Re-Inspire Printing and S&M Building Supplies. Today we have a very special guest, and his story by far is nothing like we've covered before. We're very thankful to have this man on. This is what happens when justice and racism collided in 1980s Cardiff, involved in one of, if not the biggest miscarriage of justice in the UK to date. This man was stigmatised for a murder he did not commit, and I think on behalf of me, myself, Tom, and the country of Wales, we back and we thank you, Mr. John Actie.
That's fine, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Welcome, man.
Okay, nice meeting you.
We always go back to the start with our guests normally, John, and as much as we want to get into the events of what happened at Valentine's Day 1988, although you've been acquitted of a murder, I think when people mention your name, it's always tied to the Cardiff Five.
It is.
Could you go back a bit and just kind of set a scene of who John Actie was before any of this happened? Who was a young John Actie?
Yeah, young John Actie was just, just a normal guy, just getting by. Me and the police didn't get on. And basically, I used to stand up for myself. Obviously, I was involved in stupid things as I was growing up, and I gained a reputation as, maybe as a bit of a hard man. That was what, people always used to say, he was a hard man. But the main thing was basically with the police, we used to have a lot of problems. They used to be calling me a lot of names, driving past me and calling me, certain racial names, and as you was moving on in life when you're getting older, I wasn't accepting that, and then I used to have a lot of confrontations with the police, and then I just got under their skin. Where I got under their skin, they wanted to do something to me, and this is the highlight of what happened.
Are you able to go into any of the things that you were involved in before this situation happened, or is that a little bit too private?
No. Well, I used to work. I used to do security. Like you seen the documentary the other day, they said I was an enforcer. Well, I wouldn't say I was an enforcer. I'd just say I was a bit of a debt collector. Do you know what I'm saying? But, as far as, hanging people out the windows and chopping their fingers off, that's, crazy.
You're settling some scores here. You're setting a record straight.
Yeah, setting a record straight, you know what I mean? So all these rumours about he used to go around and do all that, it's not true. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, I used to, I had to make a living, and, it was all legal. Well, not all legal, but, it was, 90% legal, but... the main problem was the police. We just didn't get on. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The 80s police and the 90s police, it just didn't happen. Things are changing, not greatly, but things are changing.
Yeah. Do you think that was? Do you think at the time racism was extremely prevalent in those times? Because nowadays they say it's a lot more systemized racism, but at the time was it just broad daylight? They would say things to you. And that's where it came from.
Regular. They drive past you and call you names. Do this is a local CID. Do you know what I mean? So you build up that hatred. Then you know what I mean. Who do you think you are talking to me like that? You got no right to call me these names, So I'd stand up to them and face to face. And sometimes they would take off because they didn't want that confrontation with me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
were they scared of you? A lot of them?
Well, they wouldn't, I wouldn't say scared of me, but they would avoid me. Yeah. Because I would stand up for myself. And, I think everyone should stand up for themselves. I don't see why... because they're the police, you got to let them get away with calling you names and abusing you. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I stand up for myself.
Before you say about like the debt collecting and these type of things that happen with yourself, obviously on the documentary, it highlighted that you was a very talented rugby player, a sportsman.
Yeah.
What age of did you kind of stop playing rugby?
I stopped playing rugby in my early 20s, actually. Mid-20s, you know. Say around my 24.
Was it a reason for that?
I just got, you know, just got involved in other stupid things, you know.
What were your career aspirations around that time? Were you looking to be a rugby player? Did you have any career aspirations around that sort of age of school?
Oh yeah, to be a rugby player.
Yeah,
that was my you know. But you know, my dad passed away when I was young, but I was still playing rugby. But you know, not you know, consistent with if my dad would have been there.
Your dad used to take you?
Yeah, my dad used to take me to rugby and bring me back and encourage me on and to do it.
What was at the time? What was the reason your dad passed away, and how did that affect you?
Oh, it affected me. You know, it affected the rest of my life. Actually, you know, as I was growing up, my dad died of cancer at an early age of 42.
Wow.
You know, and left 7 brothers and sisters with my mother. My mother was only 32. She was 10 years younger than my, so she had to bring up 7 kids.
Was you one of the oldest, one of the youngest?
I was the 3rd oldest.
Right. Okay.
How did it affect them guys as well? Like,
was
everyone just
everyone was affected by the loss of my father. You know, at that early age in our life. You know, so it took us in a different direction to where we was supposed to be going. You know, especially myself with the rugby. You know,
was he your mentor?
He was my mentor. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So, from the age of early 20s, quitting rugby, you start doing types of jobs and stuff. How much of a year gap was it between quitting the rugby, being arrested for the murder of Lynette White?
I say about 5 years. You know, about 5 years.
So in the police's eyes, it was like in that 5 years you turned into a big handful.
Well, yeah, a handful, but no, I was still a handful then. You know what I mean? Even when I was playing rugby at that time, you know, I was still, you know, actually we played South Wales Police, Buttown.
I wonder how that went.
It was a top match actually.
Was it?
Really? Yeah, really good match. Yeah.
So did you actually?
Let's respect that.
Did you actually play any of the officers that actually?
Not as far as I know.
Really?
Yeah, no, not as far as I know.
I was going to say.
No, but we did play South Wales Police on the Buttown Park one evening, and the park was packed. Everyone's out there with their drums, and it was a top night.
And who was you playing for at the time?
I was playing for Buttown.
Yeah.
What were they like as a rugby team?
No, we was a good team.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that like the Kayaks, or is that a different team?
A different team. The Kayaks is over again.
And you were a good team, all from Buttown?
No, you know, Tremorfa, Splot, Grangetown, you know, Docks. All around the city, actually.
What was Buttown like in 70s, 80s? Everyone's got this perception, and I think on the documentary as well, is it Gaynor Legal? I think she says about, you know, everyone thought there'd be a murder in Docks, but there was never a murder.
No, exactly.
What was it really like from your perspective?
The Docks was just the Docks, you know. People looked at the Docks as being a bad place, you know. Don't go down over that bridge. You go down over that bridge, you know, you're going to get killed. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, and, you know, that's how people looked at the Docks, you know. You couldn't even get a taxi down there. You know, you come out of a club, you couldn't even get a taxi. No way. You know, they wouldn't even come down. And you used to think, why? Do you know what I mean? It's no worse than Ely, Lanramy, Fairwater. It's because we're black. Do you know what I mean? And that was the only reason. Yeah. You know, all this thing about don't go down there, you'll get murdered. You hear Gaynor Legal say it's just crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
People's perception at the time.
It was the authorities using that perception to make people think don't go down.
Was the Docks really that being the Docklands as well? Obviously, it's been refurbished now. Was it really like the way people they go on? It's like it was like living poverty in some ways.
It was. You know, it was rough. You know, it's like basically we was neglected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they wanted to do the Bay Barrage, you know, and they wanted to really flatten the Docks and just move on. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, they neglected us and, you know, they didn't care about us, you know. This is why they come and fitted us up for this murder. They had no time for the Docks, you know, and they just wanted to move it on, erase it from everything, you know what I mean, from the city
again.
and start all over again.
Makes sense, taking like the big characters out of the area as well.
That's what
then.
they tried to think of the
So
time.
you wouldn't step up protests and that. It's a conspiracy in itself, like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we say about, taking people off the streets, you know, and you think to yourself, well, why did they want to take Tony off the streets? Tony wasn't in their faces. Tony wasn't a person who'd stand up to the police. If the police said to Tony, you know what I mean, move, he's going to move. Do you know what I mean? Tony's not going to hang around and argue with the police, whereas I am. Maybe Ronnie would.
Yeah.
Do you know? But
Maybe that's the ignorance of the police then, though. He's a black man. He's a danger.
Yeah.
You don't really know how much of a nice guy or a quiet guy or, you know, what he's like.
Yeah.
He's just a black man.
Yeah.
Let's arrest him.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? He was a shoplifter. Tony was a shoplifter. Do you know what I mean? And how they managed to bring Tony Paris into this, it was just, you know, crazy. Because, you know, as far as I could see, Tony was just a shoplifter. I never knew him as anything else other than a shoplifter. I didn't know anything else he ever done other than work in a Casablanca and collect glasses.
Can you explain a little bit about the other guys and at the time, who they were and
before
stuff?
the event and all that.
Definitely.
Okay, Ronnie was my cousin.
Yeah.
You know, his father and my father were brothers. You know, obviously I knew him.
Were you close?
No. You know, if I see him, we'd always speak. You know, cousins, and we never used to see each other that much. You know what I mean? But if we did see him by passing, we'd always stop and speak. It'd be no problem. He was a good cousin. Duller, and nothing to do with him at all. You know, I see him in the street. I walk past him. He say hello. I say hello. Stephen Miller was new on the scene. Yeah, he'd come down from London. He was Lynette White's boyfriend. Well, you know, I just knew him from the area because he come from Brixton and he was living around the area, you know, with Lynette.
Yeah.
Was he accepted in the end? Like,
well, it wasn't a case that I think it was accepted. He used to turn up into the Casablanca and all of that. You know, everyone had their own little cliques. Do you know what I mean? Their own little friends. You know what I mean? So, you know, he was just another person who come into the area, like many others, who just got on with life.
What was the Casablanca like at the time? You're going to ask that. What was that like? Was that the place where everyone went to go and speak and socialise?
The Casablanca was a place where we all went. You know what I mean? Where we could relax, sit down, and you couldn't get no problems from doorman, police, and or anyone. Do you know what I mean? There was no trouble. It was all good.
it's a bar, yeah? You were drinking at?
It was a nightclub.
Nightclub,
you know what I mean? Nightclub, big nightclub. And it was just, you know, we used to have our own reggae bands down there, our own reggae sounds. And it was a top club. You know, it was a community club, but anyone was welcome from anywhere around the country. And that's exactly what used to happen. People used to come from all different parts of Cardiff and the country just to come to the Casablanca.
Well, Cardiff's like one of the oldest black settlements in Britain, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's mad. Like, you would just never think it, would you? Like, when, you know, especially now, like, when you look at Cardiff Bay and stuff as well, how they've
it is a very
developed
multicultural city.
I know, it's like, that's basically how everyone's like. I have mixed race friends and that, in Cardiff on the estates of Fairwater. Yeah. They've all originated from the docks.
The docks, yeah. Because what happened is when they was knocking down the old docks, people moved out to. They was giving people places to live in Lanrummy and you know, all around the city. You know, because, you know, they wanted to get rid of the docks, you know what I mean? Then they built other
but they
houses.
knocked down Newtown. That was like part of Newtown as well.
Well, everything they knocked down, you know, and moved them on.
Okay, then.
Who else? Obviously, so we spoke about Tony Paris, Yusuf, and also we spoke about your cousin. What about, so you going back to Stephen Miller as well? So you said you knew of him in the area. Did you ever, you know, obviously in the Casablanca?
Yeah,
would
of course. Hello, what's happening? And, you know, you see people on a consistent, you know, daily basis around the area. You know, you have to say hello. You could be walking in the morning, you know, and just, for instance, you know, you walk the same route every day and you bump into people where you've seen that once in a day, then you bump into them a second time and a third time and a fourth. and then next thing you start saying hello, you know, this is just people in the street.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So people who's going to the nightclubs and all of that, and you're bumping into them, you just say hello, what's happening?
So at the time he was with Lynette. Yeah. So did you know Lynette at all?
Only see her on the streets because I used to live on Bew Street. Yeah. I used to live on Bew Street and I'd see her around and about.
So she a Bewtown girl?
Well, no, it's
Grangetown.
fine. I, you know what? Actually, I don't even know where she's from.
Is it?
I've never even researched to say where was she originally from with this Grangetown rummy splot. I don't know.
Mad.
Yeah.
What was she like as a person? Did you know her? To
No,
sort of
I
know
didn't know. No, I didn't know what to speak to.
Wow.
No. I just say, like I said, you see people on a daily basis, you say hello. That would be it. And the only time I found out about the murder was on the Monday morning when I was coming out. I keep saying this. I was coming out of my house, going up to get the paper that morning, and a guy said to me, "Did you hear about the murder?" I said, "Who murdered who?" And he said, "Lynette White." And I went, "Who's Lynette White?" Do you know what I mean? Then in the evening, it was in the Echo, a picture of her. I went, "Oh my God." Do you know what I mean? You got a big picture of her. And then obviously the penny dropped, and obviously I knew the girl from the area. But, I didn't know her by name at that time.
What were your thoughts when you first heard about the murder?
Well, horrific. Young girl, killed. I got 2 daughters. I only live in not even half a mile from the crime scene, so it's you're like, Jesus, horror, horror.
What did you think it was, though? Did you, because obviously, she was a working girl. They say, is that what you thought it was at the beginning, or did you just have no idea?
You know what? I had no idea. Do you know what I mean? The only idea we got was when the police showed the guy with the blood on his hand outside the flat, crying.
Fucking man.
Do you know what I mean? So that's it. You know what I mean? So, when Crime Watch was coming on, we was like, everyone wants to see Crime Watch. So the docks was, like Tony said in one of his interviews, the docks was empty. Do you know what I'm saying? Because everyone's gone home to watch Crime Watch. I'm sure you guys would be in the same position if it happened on your estate.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean?
As a kid, I hated watching Crime Watch.
I was scary.
It used to leave me. I couldn't go.
We used to say, "Don't have nightmares."
I used to go upstairs after crime. I wouldn't want to
know,
leave the house.
especially back then, it's very eerie, innit?
Can you remember Nick Ross, the guy who used to present it?
Yeah.
He used to say at the end, "Don't have nightmares."
Is that what he used to say?
That was it. That was his words when he finished.
I'd be checking the cupboards after it.
Don't have nightmares. That was his final words.
Well, a similar thing kind of happened in Fairwater with Geraldine Polk.
Geraldine Polk.
Where a lot of men were brought in and people were like, I wouldn't say as extreme as being fitted up, but I think they had the wrong person and that as well. And like years later, they found someone. So totally understand what you're saying if it's on your estate, because everyone was on their toes up there as well, So
yeah.
So explain your arrest. Like, so how did it plan out?
Well,
yeah, like just the main thing is like also describe the story of that day of when the police come to you and say.
Well, it all led up to the Thursday or the Friday I got arrested in the morning. The couple of days before that, a couple of guys was being arrested from the area. Yeah. A friend of mine, I won't mention his name, but he was locked up. And I seen his girlfriend the night before and she was crying. And I said, "He'll be out. He's okay. He haven't done nothing. They're looking for a white guy." And I can remember her crying on my shoulder. That was the night before I was locked up. She was crying on my shoulder. Yeah. I said, "He'll be out. He'll be out." Then that was say about 8 o'clock in the evening. I'll never forget it because it's there. And the next morning, 6 o'clock, I hear it's on my door. I looked out of the window and there's 5, 6 CID standing there. So I said, "What do you want?" And they said, "Oh, John, can we have a word with you, please?" I said, so anyway, I went downstairs, opened the door, and they're standing there. I said, "What do you want?" And they said, "Oh, John, we need to speak to you about the Lynette White case." I said, "What about?" They said, "Oh, we need to take you into custody." I said, "You want me to?" I said, "You're fucking crazy." Do you know what I mean? I said, "You're fucking crazy. I ain't done nothing." "Oh, no, but John, if you don't come, we're going to have to call backup." And I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, I know these police now, I know
these are the officers around the area.
Yeah, they're local CID inspectors and all of this stuff, you know what I mean? So I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, oh, fucking hell. And I said, "Well, I'm not coming." They said, "John, if you don't, we'll have to call backup. The superintendent said, we've got to bring you in." I said, "Okay, then go and sit in your fucking car." Yeah. They went and sat in their car. I went upstairs, seen the wife, and she's there, asked me, "What do they want?" I said, you know, I'm shaking. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because, you know, a murder, as soon as you know you haven't done it, especially a murder. And they said, she said to me, what do I said, oh, they want something about this Lynette White murder. She said, what? And she's sitting up, you know what I mean? And I said, oh my God, my daughter Remy, she was in the cot. She was born 2 days after Lynette White was killed. She was born on the 16th, yeah? So we're 10 months later, she's 10 months old. She was in a cot, yeah? Give her a kiss. I give the wife a kiss I'll never forget it. Give her a kiss. I said, I'll be back now in half hour. That's what I said to her. Yeah, half hour. And sure it was half. I'll see you now in half hour. Give her a kiss, went down, walked down the road. They was parked by Brandon and I around the corner on Anna Street. Yeah. Went out, got into the car. And I know the car what I went into, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't. I don't think you was born in 1988, so you would have known. You would have known what a Morris Marina is.
I've heard of it before.
Yeah, they had one of them cars. Got in there, went down to the police station.
Were you questioning him in the car, saying what's going on?
No, I was like I might have done, but I think I was in a shock. Like, you know what I mean? I was just maybe fucking angry. So I was angry, you know. And anyway, I went to the police station. They sat in a room. And some inspector come up and he said, where was I? And I said, I can't remember, you know, where I was, told him where I was. He went and I'm sitting in the room now and I could hear all, you know, happiness, you know, like, yeah, and clapping. And this is now the cases, you know, they're hotting up for them, you know, they're fitting everyone up now. So everything's, you know, more clearer to them, what they're doing. They got us everyone in custody. And I think, Jesus God. Anyway, they come in and then they took me upstairs to another room. And then I'm sitting down there.
A cell or a room?
No room. No cell.
They never put you in no cells?
No cell. There was no cell at all. And then I'm sitting up in a room upstairs in Cardiff Bay Police Station, which was the old police station, if you can remember it.
I don't know where it is exactly, but it's
James
off Dunbar's
Street.
Road. Oh, right, okay.
James Street. Do you know where the new police station is now? That's where the old police station is.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So I'm sitting in upstairs. I'm sitting in there and the window's open. I'm watching all the traffic coming by. It's, you know, the
it's weird,
kids are starting to go to school, all this stuff. You can see all the traffic going. Now I'm looking. I've always said this. And the window was open. And I thought, you know what? Jump out the window and take off. Yeah, I was going to do that. But then I thought, no, if I do that, they're going to go to the wife's house and there's going to be pictures of me all over the thing. Don't approach him. This guy's wanted for murder. I didn't
you look
do
guilty
it.
Straight away.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I sat there for another hour. And next thing, the door come flying open. There's about 8 of them, maybe more. They're all standing there. And there's this one copper called Inspector Powell. Yeah, he had a big ruler in his hand and he's going like that, tapping it in his hand, you know, with... And then they come in and they said, John Actie, we're now arresting you on suspicion of murder Lynette White. And I remember my experience, you fucking bastards. And they put the cuffs on me. And then they took me to Caerphilly police station. They took me up there. I was in there for a couple of hours waiting. Then they come and interviewed me. And then...
So you've just been arrested on suspicion of murder.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
Oh my God, they're fitting me up. Do you know what I mean? Because I knew these coppers. I knew them. Do you know what I mean? I know these coppers. They've done it to me before. I've been over there a couple of times. Well, I hadn't done nothing. Anyway, I knew they was fitting me up because I hadn't done nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I knew nothing about no murder.
I bet you were so angry.
Oh, angry.
Fuming.
Did you know at this time that these the other 4 have been arrested, or was it like all kept separate?
Yeah,
haven't
separate.
got a clue.
Not a clue. Yeah, you know, I knew there was a couple of guys in about being arrested, but I didn't know exactly who had been arrested. You know what I mean? And then I was up in Caerphilly police station, and then they're telling me. Go on.
So my question to you at the time is, because obviously they brought you in to start interrogating you like a bit more strictly there and try and find out. You know, try and almost like pin it on you. Definitely pin it on you.
Definitely.
But what was, you know, what as soon as they said to you, you know, as soon as they sat you down in that interview room, were you like, what the hell is going on here?
Of course
like,
I was, yeah. No, but I knew what they was doing. I knew what they was getting up to, and I knew exactly where we was going with these coppers. You know what I mean? There was no ifs or buts about it. I said straight away, I know what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? I know what you're doing.
What was their reply to that?
Oh, oh, John, we wouldn't do that. You know, we wouldn't do that. How could we? You're in my interview with them when I'm telling them, don't be silly. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
When you listen back to that as well, when you listen back to those interviews and that time when you were first in that room, and does it bring back that feeling?
Oh, yeah. It's, you know, there's certain things which will, you know,
haunt you.
Yeah, definitely, you know. And as the day was getting by, you know, they took me to Central Police Station. Kept me there for an hour. Then they took me to Rummy Police Station. Yeah, and then the questions started coming then, you know, and they saying I was in the room with Tony Paris, Yusuf Abdullahi, Ronnie, Stephen Miller, and you're like, Jesus God, what are you on about? I was in the room with them. Well, Tony was stabbing Lynette. What are you crazy? Do you know what I mean? Oh, Tony, you know, when they actually said to me about Tony Paris being the person who was stabbing Lynette White, and I can remember going, ooh, because I thought I was thinking maybe it's a different Tony Paris. What, Tony Paris? That Tony Paris, you know? That's all I was thinking. I know him as a shoplifter. I don't know him as anything else.
You know, like when you have like a bad nightmare and you're trying to run away from something and you can't, or you're trying to hit something. That's the only thing I can put it to. You know, when you sat there and
but
you're trying to...
but you couldn't run away from this. They had you there.
Yeah, but you're trying to like explain to them. You're trying to... It's just not coming. They're not listening.
No.
They don't want to listen.
They don't want to listen. Yeah, they had no intentions of listening. They had their agenda. Their agenda was, let's put these guys in jail. Let's fit them up as best we can and get them in jail. You know,
it's absolutely disgusting.
You know, you say, so how many days was you in the police station? Because was you staying overnight in the police stations then? Because now it's like 48 hours max, and then they'll put you on remand.
No, we was going into court. They was taking us into court.
So was you in the nights? Was you at the police station then the court, or was it like police station, prison, court? Like
no.
What was this like? Where was you staying? Like
I was in the cells, yeah, and then they'd come and then they'd cuff you, take you back down to the magistrate's court, take you in, and the magistrates will remand you back into their custody.
Into custody? Oh, that's what they were doing every couple of days?
Yeah.
So how long did the interrogation go?
Like 4 days, yeah.
Wow. What? When you found out then about the other four involved, you obviously, you've never done it, you're thinking, I'm nothing to do with this. Was there any thought in your mind that the other four were involved?
You know, you're thinking, you know, they're looking for a white guy, but then you're thinking, was they there? Do you know what I mean? Well, you know, you're going to think that your head's all over the place. Do you know, you're thinking, was they there? Was these guys there? Do you know what I mean? But, you know, you just got to look after yourself, you know, as you're there, and you're thinking, well, you wasn't there. How do you know they wasn't there? Do you know what I'm saying? So you're just defending yourself just to get out of this police station.
When somebody's constantly saying to you, you were there, because I've watched the BBC thing, and when I heard those tapes, I was disgusted. Yeah. When they kept saying to you, you were there, you were there, you were there, you were there. You can see what happened with Stephen Miller. In the end, he just broke. Yeah. In your mind, are you thinking, is it almost brainwashing you to like, can you feel yourself getting brainwashed?
That's what they tried to do. They must have thought, you know, we was all going to break down and say we was there. But, you know, in my case, the police wasn't giving me that pressure they was giving them guys. Do you know what I mean? They wasn't saying, you was there, I didn't get none of that. Do you know what I mean? Oh, was you there, John? No, I wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? I didn't get none of that abuse off any of the coppers in no interviews. Do you know what I mean? Because they know. And one thing I regret now is, I really do, I often think about it, and I've never really explained this over the years. And I think to myself, you know what? I should have knocked out a couple of them coppers in the interview room and gone to jail for something I'd done instead of going to jail for something I'd never done. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
He was ever so calm.
Imagine sitting opposite somebody and they're trying to pin you for your life to go to prison. I bet you were thinking, I'd love to rip your head off.
I'd love to.
Slapping rulers in his hand.
But the thing is, all I'm thinking about is getting home. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, but now it's over the years, I think to myself, you should have just knocked them out.
Was you allowed to have contact with phone calls with family? None of that?
No. None of that.
I bet it's a horrible feeling violated.
Yeah,
what do your family think? That, you know, was your missus like,
where is he?
You know,
of course, but you couldn't see him when you got remanded in custody. Then they could come to the prison.
So we'll go to the hearing and the case in Swansea. But so you was remanded straight from Cardiff, Madge, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And what prison did you go to?
Cardiff prison.
What was prison like? Being on remand, you got 2 years for a date of a murder you haven't committed.
It was just a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? Just being locked up for a crime you hadn't committed is a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? Just going to prison. Do you know what I mean? Who wants to be in prison any bloody way? For there was none of that where you're going to prison and we're going to get trouble from the other convicts, because that didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? That none of that come along, because that's not going to happen.
At the time as well, did you have like family and people saying to the police, like, what are you doing? Like, you weren't there, he was with me. And did you have like sort of like people saying he was with me? And, at the time, what were your family saying? At that time, everyone's, in shock. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Everyone's crying. Everyone's coming in to visit you and everyone's crying. I'm crying. My mother's crying. My wife's crying. My sisters are crying. No one, everyone's in shock, complete and utter shock, where everyone's looking at you and you're like, Jesus God Almighty, they got me in prison, all my family's crying and they're out there laughing, the police, you know what I mean? They're going to my local pubs, drinking champagne.
What? Have other people told you that they were doing this?
They was there the night they charged us. They was in my local Bosun in our pub.
What's it called?
The Bosun. It was in Mariah Street. They was in there drinking the night away, laughing.
Loving them.
Loving it. That's my local pub.
When inside on remand,
Yeah.
Was you just waiting for the court date, hoping you get out, or was you doing some type of investigating yourself?
No, you couldn't do nothing because you remember you're in prison and you're on a book. Yeah, you're a Class A prisoner. So every time you leave your cell, you've got a prison officer with you, and you got a black book, and everywhere you go, he writes down where you are.
They were treating you like that, were they?
You're a Class A prisoner. Cat A prisoner. So you go to the toilet, it's written down. You go to exercise, it's written down. You go for your food, you got the prison officer with you. Everywhere you go, the prisoners.
And there was no did they separate all of you in the case?
Yeah, you're all on Class A. You're in a cell with an A on it. That's Class A prisoner. So you're all in your own cell.
Stephen Miller was the one they pressured.
Yeah.
Looking back now, looking at the documentary, you can see how horrible they were, how bad it was.
They were so persistent as well, weren't they?
But at the time, what did you think of Miller when you found out he's giving evidence of something you have not done?
At that time, when they come in and said, Stephen Miller said you was there, I was like, impossible. Impossible. Do you know? I told them, you made him do this. No, we wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. But then, when you was remanded in custody and then the paperwork started coming through and you're reading the paperwork, you got to read between the lines. Do you know what I mean? And you could see exactly what they'd done. So I wasn't angry with Stephen Miller at all. And I seen Stephen Miller, and actually, I actually said to him when we was going to court one time, Stephen, don't worry. And he come over and he had tears in his eyes, He said, I said, listen, I know what they done to you, so don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? And let's just get on with it, you know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened. I had nothing against Stephen Miller at all. I got nothing against Leanne Vilde, nothing against Angela Pasila. Yeah, these people were vulnerable people who they used to get a case. If they was normal people, strong people, it wouldn't have happened.
So, at the time you were being interviewed, and again, they were just pressuring you. And they were pressuring the other guys, the four other guys as well. When you got to the stage then where they were starting to show you, like you said, this paperwork and stuff like that, what was at the time, what was your feelings towards, all the other guys as well? Because obviously Stephen Miller, you were saying, like, all this paperwork was coming back. Were you just thinking, like, did you think you were actually going to go down for it?
Well, you don't know what's going to happen because, if you knew what was happening, you know what I mean? You just don't know because, the miscarriages of justice, what was happening in the 80s, 90s. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what could have happened. Do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, I'm looking at, well, obviously I was looking at a life sentence. So that was always playing in your mind. Are you going to get a life sentence? Am I going to get off? Am I going to be in here for 10 years, 5 or 20 years?
What was your mental health like as well?
Oh, shattered. Do you know what I mean? Mental health. Because, when you get remanded in custody, especially on something you haven't done, especially that, I was thinking when I was in the cell that they was going to come and open my door in the night, and say, it's okay. Go on home. You thought you was in a nightmare, a dream, and you was going to wake up from it, but you wasn't. He wasn't.
I've been at prison a few times and seen other people who I do genuinely believe are in there for something they haven't done.
Yeah.
It's actually one of my worst nightmares,
Terrible.
biggest fears, being locked up for something I haven't done. You watch films,
Yeah.
it happened to you, John.
I know it happened. Yeah, it happened to 5 of us.
Fuck.
I know.
What was the date of the court date? It was 2 years later then. They've taken you to Swansea. How did they break the news to you? You're in Swansea, because that was kind of a setup in itself.
No, what happened is the police wanted a case down in Swansea, so we was going back and forth to the Crown Court to decide where we was going to hold the trial, whether it was going to be in Cardiff or Swansea. Well, the judge, I remember the judge who made the decision that it would be in Swansea, was a judge called Justice Pill. P-I-L-L. Yeah, I still remember the name of him, the judge who sent it. And I remember saying to Ronnie, we got bigger problems now, because we was going to Swansea. You remember, there was only maybe 400 black people down there.
456.
And there was mostly students. Do you know what I'm saying?
None of them are from none of them are from anywhere else. Students.
Yeah, students, yeah. So, maybe, Asians, shops, that kind of stuff. So they would have been counted in that 400.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So they wanted us down there. It was like, they just wanted a conviction.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they had to hype it up as best they could and have police following us, loads of police blocking off roads, because they wanted. Remember, they was being tapped on the back by the press. Remember, we was slammed by the news outlets, the papers. As far as they was concerned, we done it because South Wales Police had said we done it. Do you know what I'm saying? So everything was on us that we done it, and that's how they wanted it.
At the time then, when you were on your way, because when I watched the BBC documentary, you were explaining, on my way to the trial and stuff, and obviously the police had told you you're going to be trialed and all that situation was happening at the time. What was your feeling sitting in that car knowing you were just on the way to court? How were you feeling at the time that day, and what was paint that sort of story for us? That
was a bad, one of the worst days of my life, going all the way to Swansea, being escorted by police and you're handcuffed in the minibus or whatever it may be. It's just horror. Do you know what I mean? You're going to a different part of the country now, you're not feeling, it's just feeling, they want to convict you. That's why we're going on. It was just a nightmare. I wouldn't want to put my worst enemy. Actually, I'd like to put a few of them police through it. Do you know what I mean? If they said we could start this trial again for bring them back to court, I'd walk the Swansea Crown Court. I'd walk there just to give evidence against them.
How long did the case go on for? Because I'm sure one of the judges died or something, didn't he?
Yeah, what happened is the first case went on for 7 months, the longest trial in British murder trial in British history at that time. The judge was doing his summing up and he had a heart attack and he died.
That is absolutely
They started again, I think.
Yeah, 3-4 months later.
So on the first day, and also going through the case and stuff like that, what was the feeling in the courtroom? How did it feel? Because, like you said, there isn't many people from an ethnic minority in Swansea. So was it mostly white people?
It was all white people.
And what was the feelings in the court? Were they instantly, did you feel like they're going to get us here?
Yeah, of course. We was just, they were looking at us as savages. Do you know what I mean? It was unbelievable. It was all white jury. When they was swearing the jury in, they had like 200 jurors there. And it was the courtroom was packed. It was in the galleries, everywhere. So they was calling them out and this and that. It was crazy. Absolutely mad. You wouldn't believe.
What were the police saying to you as well?
They was just in the background. We was in the dock, and they was laughing and calling names and all the rest of what they like doing, laughing at you. You're going down.
Really?
Yeah, you get all that.
Fucking savages, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the way through.
Some of the witnesses who came up and gave evidence. Watching that on the documentary was pretty horrifying to see how they brainwashed them to say them things, and the things they actually said were pretty sad as well. How was that, taking that from witnesses knowing?
Well, knowing you haven't done that, and you're sitting in the dock, and they're saying you stabbed someone 50 times, and you've held the knife to this person's throat and said, "Cut this person." could you imagine? You're sitting there and people are talking about, how would your mother be feeling? Sitting down, reading that in the Echo and looking at the neighbours. The neighbours must be looking at my mother thinking, your son's a monster. Do you know what I'm saying? My mother got, my mother was there for me. My mother was the best mother in the world. Do you know what I mean? She backed me all the way. Without my mother and my family, it would have been difficult to get through with this. Do you know what I mean? They was there.
Did you know? So at the time, the two women there sort of gave
Evidence.
Yeah. Did you know them at all?
Never seen them before in my life. Never didn't know them. The first time I ever seen them was in the courts. Never didn't know their names, nothing.
Mad.
So just briefly, what can you describe what they were saying that they said they saw at the time?
Well, they said they saw me in the flat. They seen Tony and the rest of them. They seen me with a knife, and I passed the knife to, I don't know, whoever, and I told one of them to cut Lynette's hands. I can't remember it's like a ritual, one of them crazy witchcraft.
Ritual murder.
Yeah, ritual murder.
The only one, though.
Yeah.
No other rituals.
Yeah.
Just the one.
Yeah. And then you're thinking, Jesus God, but you knew the police had made them do this.
So describe how the police had sort of said that the murder went. So they said that you met there at the flat and then it happened?
They said we come from somewhere, I don't know where we come from, went down James Street, knocked the door.
The dream team, they've never met each other before.
And some guy come down and opened the door and let us in. And then, what's the girl's name? Leanne Vilde and Angela Pasila said they heard someone screaming from a mile away. And then they come running over, run up the stairs. I was standing there. They pushed me out of the way, considering I was security guard. Do you know what I mean? And, I'm just saying, like, two young, whatever, pushed me out of the way. And then they went in the room and then they seen Tony Paris holding a knife. What? Yeah. And then I come in after them and said to him, you're part of this now. You've got to do something. You've got to cut the wrists. I don't know, some crazy ritual.
I think even when you saying it now, you don't even like talking about it because
no, it's not. You just tries to think about what was what part. Do you know what I mean? How could you describe it? What
you can't even string it together.
You told them to hold a knife and cut their finger. It's just you bizarre. Just can't take it in. And when they're saying that, you're like sitting in the dock going, oh my
fucking hurt.
Oh my God, you're like that. Honest to God, guys. There's nothing more. You're actually cringing in the dock because, oh my God, you got the jury looking at you. I was sitting next to the jury. Jury was to that wall away from me. So when they're in the dock and they're saying, he made me hold the knife and cut the woman's wrists or something like that, you're like, oh my God. You're like kind of like, putting your head down like to say, Jesus God Almighty. It's so hurtful that someone could accuse you of something like that.
When you were in the courtroom, were you looking at the jury and were you looking at them and saying...
Of course I was sitting next to them.
Yeah, what
was the jury's reaction to you when you were looking at them thinking,
well,
I haven't done it? Were they
mix, you could look at them and they would be looking at you like that. You couldn't look at them long because, you'd be like, you couldn't look at them long anyway because then if you're looking at them long, then the judge might think you're intimidating them.
When. Do
you know what I'm saying? And then you'd be like giving them glimpses like that to think, they'd be staring and you like to say, did he do it? Is he an animal? Is he a monster? Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of vibe you got off.
There was no...
They're making a judgment of you, really. Well, they're just saying, they're trying to go off, they're going off what they're being told. And it's just like...
Out of the jury, there was not one... there's not one black...
No, there was no black people in the court. The only black people in the court was us. Amongst all the hundreds of people who was involved in it.
What was your feeling like on the day of sentencing? After the one got kicked out, you've got a new judge, a new kind of case, you could say. What was it like when you went? What was the feeling like going into court on the day you're being sentenced?
No, well, I never got sentenced, remember, I was waiting for the verdict.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So they were sentenced, Stella, Tony, and Stephen Miller, Ronnie was acquitted.
Sorry, that's what I meant, the verdict.
Oh,
you know?
that was just, that was on a knife edge. As you see me waiting down the stairs, waiting to go up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's just, I couldn't even get up the stairs. The prison officer had to help me.
You didn't want to face it.
Well, it's not. I wanted to face it. I wanted to go
nervous.
home, but I just couldn't get up the stairs. My legs was jelly.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was, Della had just had a guilty 2 minutes before. They brought him down, so I'm thinking...
Could you hear him say guilty?
Yeah, of course I heard him. I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs. Standing at the bottom, and he said guilty, and Della said to him, I remember his words is fading away to me now. He said something to the words as, "You've taken an innocent life away. You've ruined my life. I'm an innocent man." And then they brought him down, and then they called me.
Did he walk past you as he came down?
Yeah.
What was his face like?
Oh, he's finished.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's just looking at a life sentence.
Was he just looking like just blank, just nothing?
In shock.
Before that, though, Ronnie got not guilty.
That was on a Wednesday.
So what was it like? Hope?
Well,
family as well.
Hope. Yeah, there was hope. But you're in this situation. What's happened to you?
It's baffling, isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
The maddest thing about it is like the one thing that always struck me is how they coerced Stephen Miller into basically trying to say, if you give us this evidence, you might get out of this in a type of way by blaming them.
Yeah.
And then he's the one who does a life sentence. Like,
yeah.
It's just mad.
Well, what happened? They give him the story. Yeah, they pressured him and pressured him and pressured him. You was there with them. You was there with them. No, I wasn't there. A million times, a billion times, I wasn't there. And then, now, when they're saying he's got the story in his head, they held up the knife, John Actie come in the room.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Then he's thinking, well, I'll admit to it. Maybe I might be able to, squeeze him out and get them in. But what he didn't realise, because he had a, mental age of 11-year-old, he's susceptible, and and so he thought, well, I'll give him the version what they give me, and then say he was there. So was Stephen Miller found guilty? Was you the last man to be sentenced? I was the last man.
The verdict.
I was the last one.
So you've heard Miller.
Everything.
They've all been guilty.
Miller guilty, Tony guilty, Ronnie not guilty, Della guilty. And that was on a Thursday. John was the last.
One thing I was going to say as well, which kind of baffles me as well, and a lot of people ask me like the question of this, is like something we were talking about was like, why was the lawyers not sort of fighting for you? And
the lawyers was fighting for us.
It was Miller's, weren't it? It was like Stephen Miller's.
Yeah,
it was like a mouse in the corner. Didn't hear nothing.
How's that allowed though? Because obviously
was he a duty solicitor or was he?
I think he was a duty solicitor.
And like, if they're duty, they're more like they're always in the.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No?
I think this guy was a new guy. I think he was way out of his depth.
Yeah,
it was a big, massive murder. He was new on the scene. The police had a lot more powers, intimidated him, and he just sat there in the corner.
Is that solicitor still around? Did you know who the solicitor was?
I did, but I can't think of his name at the moment.
I just want to let people know to not go to him. Sorry,
I don't know whether he's practicing now, but God Almighty, I wouldn't want to go to him.
No, your solicitor sounded quite decent, like John.
My solicitor was Stuart Hutton.
Stuart Hutton,
was great.
Top solicitor.
Old school.
Yeah, top solicitor.
It's
just like, it's baffling.
It's unbelievable.
So
the more you go into it, the more it gets worse.
Let's just hear the verdict then. I know I've heard it on the documentary. Just for the record, for the Central Club, what was it like?
Oh, it was, it was something else, wasn't it, really? Because, it changed my life. It could have made it worse. It could have made it better. You know what I mean? And it made it better. But, it hadn't been easy. You know what I mean? Over these years, you know what I mean? But going up that stairs when the senior prison officer called Mr. Maitland, was a good man, a decent guy, you know what I mean? Who helped me. He said, "Come on, John, you got to do this." Do you know what I mean? Come on. And he helped me up the stairs. And I always remember that, how he helped me up the stairs, you know what I mean? He could have, And anyway, guy gone up the stairs and then they said, they read my name and then they said, how do you find the defendant, John Actie? And he said, not guilty. You know, that it took a while for it to hit me. Do you know what I mean? It was like, not guilty, not guilty. You know, it was like echoing to me, you know, before it caught me. And then the court went, it just erupted. The court erupted. You
Locals?
know, all my family, it was, and you've seen all the people jumping on me outside.
You see the video footage, it's quite like...
Yeah, it's very
It
emotional.
was actually like heartwarming to see you get out of there. I was actually so gassed for you, like to see you out.
Well, my brothers, with that, when they said not guilty, and it just come to you, not guilty, not guilty, it was like echoing round the room. And then the judge didn't even tell me I could go. My brothers just ripped me out of the dock. They opened the door and ripped me out, and then dragged me out through the thing. And everyone's screaming. The court is in the barristers, the QC, the judges, and all like, Jesus God, you had a police guard around me. Do you know what I mean? So if I was guilty, then, do you know what I mean?
Just in case.
Just in case.
What was the police officers who tried to get you down? What were they saying to you as you were like?
They never said nothing.
Did they, you know when? Yeah, because when you got out, do they come out the same door? Did you see them, or are they doing like some slide?
Yeah, but no, they was gone. They wasn't there.
Gone,
yeah, they was gone. They was in the background, in the back rooms.
When you're going back to Cardiff in the BM.
Yeah.
I was going to say as well, like when I saw the footage of you coming out the court, everyone else is buzzing like that. You're obviously buzzing, but
I'm in
you're
shock.
just like, what?
You can see the pain.
You can see the
in your voice.
You can see the pain, everything. You can just see
I was in shock.
what this has done to you.
But then what happened is they dragged me out. I said that. Then the police come out, you know, the police who was guarding the court, and they said to my brother, you've got to go back in. I went, what for? They said, because the judge never discharged you. So
Shut up.
Yeah, so I said, I'm not going back in. My brother said, come on, you got to go back in. My older brother, Stephen, you know, God love him. He passed away now, you know what I mean? But he said, come on. And anyway, I said, no. He said, come on. I went back in, gone into the dock, and then the judge said, it's okay, Mr. Actie, I just needed to formally discharge you. I went, okay, Your Honour, thank you, members of the jury. I can't remember saying all this, but it's all in transcript. I said to the jury, I love you. And I've read this, what people have showed me, and then I was gone. I went down the stairs, seen Tony.
I bet your heart was like...
Of course.
You went and seen Tony?
I went and seen Tony Duller and Stephen Miller. They was down in the cell now. You know, obviously, you know, waiting to go back upstairs for their life sentence. I went down. I had all property. I give him Tony my back in the day was tapes. It wasn't CDs and all of that. You know, and I give him all my reggae tapes, and I just wanted to go home. You know, my heart was burning for him, but I could, you know, there's nothing I could do. Do you know what I mean? I was on my way home.
What were their faces like when they saw that? What was their reaction, and how were they looking? You know, how
sad, upset. Tears.
Is it the saddest you've ever seen somebody ever?
Well, yeah, you know, I've seen sad, and I've seen sadder and sadder. It was terrible. Yeah, it was bad.
That's awful. What was that? Did they speak to you at all?
There's not really much you could, you know, not really. Just
we actually we're gonna get Tony on, so we're gonna kind of see like unfold the you know, the other 2 years with them inside and how he got out. But we want to really know, like, what was it like for you, John, integrating back into the community? Like,
very
what
difficult.
was it like for you?
Very difficult, you know, because, you know, remember now, these guys are gone, got a life sentence, so they had to get the campaign up and running, which was down to Malik, Lloydie, Kervin, and them guys, you know what I mean? But myself, I was completely, you know,
gone,
finished. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I was completely finished. You know, I started using drugs, you know what I mean, very heavily.
What drugs were you using at the time, John?
I was just using, you know, a bit of Class A drugs, you know what I mean, at that time, you know what I mean? And it just got worse. It was only just for the depression and so forth. You thought it was helping, but it wasn't helping. You know?
What was Ronnie like? Did you ever see Ronnie?
No, I see him now and again, you know what I mean? But Ronnie was living in Cabalfa. You know what I mean? He was up there, man. So I was in the dock. So, you know, you wouldn't see each other, really, you know.
What from when you did see Ronnie, how do you feel like he sort of...
Well, he wasn't well. Ronnie was all messed up as well, you know. He was, you know, he went into a downward spiral and he was completely messed up. Was
he using drugs or anything like that?
I should imagine he would have been using drugs, yeah.
So sad.
Everyone started, you know, using drugs, you know what I mean? And just to, you know, kill the pain. you know what, using drugs, it don't kill the pain. Do you know what I mean? It just makes it worse. But you think it's trying to help you. But at that time, it just spiraled out of control.
One question I do have for you is when you came out with that, when you're coming out with that situation and this situation's happened to you, what do you think the alternative would have been for you to? What do you think they could have done to help you, or what do you think you could have done to help maybe deal with that better? What sort of advice would you give to people who've maybe going through pain and stuff like that? What could you have done to deal with that better? Maybe.
You know, I do think of this, but there's no really many things you can do. You're in a bad state of affairs, you know, and you know I think turning to drugs at that time, you know, you thought it was going to help you. But there's no really, your family's there to help you, but you're going through so much trauma.
Was there self-pity there?
Well, not a case of self-pity. It was just anger and depression. Yeah, frustration and depression. Yeah.
Would therapy or something like that?
No, I've seen all them psychiatrists. You
wouldn't
know,
have, yeah.
You talk to them about things you can't talk to other people about.
Yeah.
But it's still there.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Yeah, mentally. It's not, by seeing a psychiatrist, they're not going to draw it all out to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's still there. You're still, you're still angry and you're still depressed.
You said on the documentary, mud sticks.
Yeah, it did.
It's the same with anything in life. You know, what were some of the worst things or things you've heard, what people have had a perception of you since then?
Well, I was lucky, he was there, he done it. They was lucky, he should be in jail. Oh, everything like that, you know, and you got the police saying he was lucky he got off, them guys should be in jail. So, it was still, you were still the person, or the police said you killed someone, but you was lucky to get off.
If you're taking drugs, though, did you have run-ins with the law after?
Yeah, I've been having run-ins with the police ever since,
No, but definitely at that time.
Yeah. I was having run-ins with the police, we would always...
Did it get worse?
It's
not going to get as worse as what happened then, but I mean, did the tension between you, did they harass you more?
Yeah,
or did they give you that?
harassed me, yeah. They've always harassed me, yeah. They didn't let go, They wanted me in jail. Do you know what I mean? It didn't stop because I got off.
Yeah, if it weren't that, it'd be something else.
Yeah, exactly, So, the stress went on. The struggle continued.
Yeah. So from what you said as well, so you came out of prison, you were obviously going through this, deep depression and these awful things. But as you said as well, Lynette's father, I believe, he was still out for revenge.
Oh, yeah.
He still must have believed that it was you.
Well, of course, you got the police telling him, he was lucky he got off. You've got, other friends who don't like me say, yeah, he was lucky that. So, yeah, as a father, if you're being told someone killed your daughter. Into you as well.
Wait, though, was this... He showed up to a shotgun, yeah? Showed up to a shotgun. Yeah. He showed up with a shotgun, yeah? Was this whilst the other three were still in prison, or was this when they got released?
No, when he was in prison.
So even though they had so-called three there who'd done it, he was still out to get you?
Yeah.
So what was someone in the background saying stuff?
Yeah, the police.
You think, if the three got off with it, and then in his mind he wants to blame someone, there must have been John, but if there's three guilty...
Supposedly
guilty, it's no Jeffrey
It didn't matter. Back then, it didn't care.
John, what was that feeling like where you're in your house, just normal day, obviously, well, you're recovering the situation, and then did he knock you? What was that? Describe that to me, what I was like.
I was sitting in my living room, and then I heard, what was that? It's 9 o'clock.
In the morning?
In the night. Yeah, and I think, who's that? And at that time, I was going through a bad time. Me and the wife had split up and she moved on, and, this drug abuse and so forth and so on. And then I thought...
Living on your own?
Yeah, I was living on my own then. And then I was just waiting to move out of the house. And then I heard that knock that night. And, for some reason I looked out of the kitchen window that night because the guy was saying, John... And no one really comes to my house and calls me John, you know what I mean? He knock my door. If it's my friend, he usually open the door and walk, hello, yo, Arthur, Luca. Do you know what I mean? They call me by different names. You usually call me by John. Do you know what I mean? And then I thought it was a little strange. Something told me to look out the window. I looked out the window and I seen him with a shotgun pointing at the front door. I watched him through the curtain, the net. I pulled him and I could see him. He had a sheepskin coat on, yeah, and he had a shotgun pointing at my front door like that. That's his, John. Yeah, so if I would have opened the door, boom, I wouldn't be here now. I was gone.
Oh my God.
I was gone.
It's almost like something saved you.
Well,
it's almost like your instinct was screaming at you. Just
yeah.
look through that net. Like when you saw him through the net,
Yeah.
what was your first reaction?
He wants to kill me.
And did you? So what did you do in that situation? Did you call anyone, or did you?
No.
He stayed there for a while, or did you
he
like
was-
duck out? Like,
No, I ducked back. He was there for
for a while? Was he there?
a couple of minutes. He was there for a few minutes, you know, and I'm like, Jesus God, this guy. But anyway, and the door was open. All you had to do was open the handle. It was open. It wasn't locked. I ducked down. I had my dog with me, a little mongrel. Lucy, her name was. Back down like that and come out to the back door. Do you know what I mean? And then the next thing, that was it.
So he got charged, didn't he, with something?
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
No,
now?
he's passed now, long
Yeah.
time
Did he
ago.
pass before they found out
Before.
about Jeffrey Gafford?
Yeah, yeah.
How sad.
I know.
Did you ever, after
sorry.
that whole situation, did you ever really reconcile or speak to him
No,
about it?
no.
He passed before they found
He
out Jeffrey
passed.
Gafford.
Is it?
was
Yeah.
murder. That's what
Yeah.
he said, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awful, man.
So there was no way they was going to reconcile. I would have liked him to seen at least the killer of his daughter, so he could have gone to his grave and rest.
And
you know
had
what I
that
mean?
peace
And
then,
had that
yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it wasn't to be. This is life, and you know we're not
Yeah.
here forever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So you know that's what happened. But it would have been nice. Maybe me and him could have sat down, and he could have come and said, "Well, you know, I really believed it was you because the police told me it was you." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe he might have looked at this different. I believe he would have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because the evidence is there, the DNA is there. Gafford done it alone. Do you know what I mean? Even when they caught Gafford, they tried to say we was with him. Yeah, and they
Really?
yeah.
That's so mad.
They
You all
tried
give evidence, didn't you, and stuff like
Yeah.
like you give DNA again willingly.
Yeah. But they tried to make out when they caught Gafford that he was killing her. We was walking down the street. He didn't run in and out them.
Oh yeah,
That's
because you
awful.
just want to chill with this random guy.
Yeah,
like-
this crazy lunatic. We was walking down the street and we heard something, and then he didn't kill her. We went in and finished it off. This is what the police's version was later.
It makes you think police are so naive to what happens on the roads because, like, police probably do believe that like random people just show up and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
they're just so naive to
yeah.
what happened. Like they haven't got a clue what goes on on the roads.
Look. They want people to believe. Yeah, these police who done us. They want people to believe that it was us. Yeah. You know, they're not going to change their version of events, but they knew. They can't change their version of events, right? They knew all along it wasn't us. They fitted us up. So now they've got to stick to that version of
course.
it was us. Yeah. If they come from that, then, you know, we know what they done, but because they're these coppers, they had, look, it was December. They was looking at some white guy. They had us under surveillance back in August or something like that. Some psychopath, some lunatic. They had him under surveillance. It didn't pan out for them. It wasn't him. Yeah. So then, as time was getting on, it was frustrating them. They had no choice other than to fit some guys up from the community. Now, all they'll say, I want to make this clear. Yeah. I want to make this clear. So all the listeners out there, they've heard it off me before. The police knew it wasn't us, but they'll swear to their dying day, yeah, that it was us because we caught them out. We exposed them. Do you know what I mean? And now they'll say, no, it was them. We believe it was. They didn't believe it was us. We was last resort. They only started coming for us at the end of November, the beginning of December. That's when they put their story together. When they got the girls, they realized over the months, now they're using these girls, they're vulnerable. They knew they couldn't read or write. Yeah. The other guys as well, vulnerable people, 2 young prostitutes and some young gay guy. They knew they was vulnerable. So then they had them. So as soon as they had them, they could manipulate them to say what they wanted them to say. Yeah. So now all they'll blame is, well, it was the girls who told us. No, it wasn't the girls who told them. You told the girls. You give the girls the story. Yeah. They signed the statement. Remember, the girls couldn't read or write. Didn't you see the program?
The IQ was like
documentary.
Very low IQ.
They couldn't read or write. So how could these girls conduct statements like that and say, yeah, we went in the room and done this?
The maddest thing as well is about the girls. Some of the words they were like saying, racism, unbelievable.
Well,
but they were living in Butetown. Yeah. They had black friends.
Yeah, of course.
So they were clearly words, right, that a copper would write.
Yeah, of course they would.
The racial slurs and stuff.
Yeah,
she ain't gonna say that living down Butetown.
No.
With Lynette, who she's close, and Stephen Miller, the boyfriend.
But
he lived in Butetown.
Remember, these girls had no. These girls were weak, vulnerable people. They had no IQ of good and this and that. They were just vulnerable people.
It just don't make sense.
So, after you'd come out. The three guys are still in. You were obviously, like you said, you were going through this really tough time and stuff. And after this, after a while, then there was the campaign.
Yeah.
Like you said, you weren't really involved too much in the campaign, were you? Because obviously,
I was out of it.
What happened then? What was your feelings when you found out? Were you there? Were you involved when they were like released?
No, I never even went to the court. I was in the area, but I was going through bad times them times.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I just couldn't.
Did you get to see them when they got out? You know, a bit of peace with them and all that. Hope you're okay.
Yeah, I seen Tony and I seen Dollar. And
have you ever spoke to Stephen from?
Oh yeah, I've spoken to Stephen. Yeah, I've seen him on a couple of occasions. Not many, maybe 5-6 occasions. I've seen him over the last 30 years. That's only because we had to go to meetings with the police when they was reinvestigating the other Ben coppers. Do you know what I mean? Wow. Things like that.
And do you know what? That brings me on to my next question. What I wanted to ask you was, so all this has happened. You've been through this horrendous situation. Absolutely, nobody ever goes through this. But, well, they do, but this is like the first time it's been
one in a million.
Yeah, it's rare, for them to be cut. What was you when obviously you wanted to get the police done for what they done? That whole situation. Can you just describe that situation to us of what happened? Because everyone knows that the paperwork went. Can you describe that situation to us then?
Well, first of all, what happened is when them guys come out, we was pushing for them to catch the real guy. They didn't want to know. They said everyone got off on a technicality. They want to close it and just move on. But it didn't happen. And what happened is they had to open they got some other
cold
police.
Case, Yorkshire police.
Yeah, Yorkshire, Lancashire
Biggest
police.
regret of their lives.
Yes, that's right. Lancashire police come down and told them, no, this is not right. So then they reinvestigated it, reluctantly. Do you know what I mean? They didn't want Kafar to be caught. They wanted the stigma to lie with us. Do you know what I mean? To say, well, we was right, it was them, there's no one else there. Do you know what I mean? So
you would never rest your case.
I couldn't rest my case.
No, but they wouldn't. If they knew you done it and you got off, they wouldn't sit off in the wind.
No, not at all.
They'd carry on.
Yeah, of course. Well, they did carry on. You know what I mean? So what happened is them police come down, done the investigation, and told them. Then they had to open up the case again, and that's exactly what happened. Do you know what I mean? And then we just went from there to them catching Jeffrey Kafar. And
how did you feel when you found out about Kafar?
Oh, it was good.
Bittersweet?
Yeah, it was lovely. It was just lovely that they caught the person, then they could lift that away from us. Do you know what I mean?
It all made sense.
No one could say, well, he was there, he was lucky, he got away. Do you know what I mean? So, it was great when they caught Kafar. They got the lunatic off the street.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And rightfully so.
However, though, at the time then, you must have been thinking, right, well, I've just, I've done time in prison and stuff, and I want to get these officers.
Yeah, roles reversed. Roles reversed.
And so...
Well, there's nothing really I could do because, remember, it was in their hands. This is the police who's investigating. Remember, the South Wales police investigated South Wales police, which was a no-no.
Yeah, and you can't do that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. How can you investigate your own force when it was your force who put us in jail anyway?
Yeah. You're not going to hang your own people either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, they opened the door for everyone to get off. and especially their officers.
Was there a point where you thought, we're going to get these police officers?
No.
Not once?
No. I used to tell them, this is not going to happen. These coppers are not going to get convicted. I used to tell the people, we got so much evidence. I used to tell them, it's not going to happen.
What, why didn't they ever, because obviously the paperwork went missing, didn't they? That's why they never, ever...
Well, the paperwork went missing for a reason. Yeah, the reason was, they didn't want these coppers convicted because South Wales police would have been brought to their knees.
Yeah.
All these CID being convicted. Yeah. Plus, they had another 4 or 5 waiting in the wings to come on trial. Yeah. It wasn't just them ones in the dock. There was others on bail, but they didn't want to put them in the dock all together. Yeah. So they had another 4 or 5 waiting in the wings. But as soon as that one collapsed and paperwork went missing, it collapsed against the rest of them who was waiting. So there was 12, 13, but there was more police involved than that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They were the main play, like, you know.
Yeah, they was the main
They had
hardcore
golfers,
players.
running around. And
Of course they did.
there's probably officers you've seen, like, who you don't even know who were out there to get you. They've done paperwork. They've done work. Don't even know.
There was. I've said this all along. Yeah. But the only reason, all this have come out now, all of this have come out because of Shreds. Yeah. Shreds is a
Shout out to
podcast
Shreds.
by Kerry Jackson. Yeah. Now, without Kerry Jackson opening this,
None of
no one
these
wanted to
BBC.
No one wanted to touch it. Kerry Jackson opened the door for everything. Now she've opened you got to listen to Shreds actually.
Yeah, we will.
But when you listen to Shreds, then you'll know. And then what happened is then the TV program started coming in.
Listen, if the Central Club was about before then, we would have touched it. Trust me, John.
I know.
I'd have loved
tell you.
What's the main lesson that you've learned from all of this, John? What would you say the one lesson that you've learned from this whole situation is about life?
Don't piss the police off. Do you know what I mean? But, at the end of the day, you got to stand up for yourself. Do you know what I mean? And you got to stand up. You can't have people treating you like a dog. Do you know what I mean? The lesson I've learned is, do you know what I mean? Well, no, I haven't learned the lesson because I'm still going to stand up for myself. Do you know what I mean? And I was in jail for a crime I never committed because the police didn't like me because I stood up for myself. And if I don't stand up for myself, who am I? I'm just a mouse. I'm a big man. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I'm not going to accept it. And some of these witnesses, you had a woman called Violet Perriam. Yeah?
I was going to mention her.
Okay. You had a woman called Violet Perriam. You had this guy who was doing 14 years for armed robbery, a guy called Ian Albert Massey. He said Tony admitted.
Paris is fit up,
Tony couldn't admit to something he never done. Tony gave him his paperwork when we went into prison so he could, Tony wanted other people to look at it because Tony wasn't a great reader. Tony couldn't read. Yeah. He'll tell you that anyway, It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
There's millions of people out there. And at that time, Tony couldn't read. He wanted someone else's insight into, an armed robber who's doing 14 years. He'll know a bit about the law. But the guy seized his opportunity, and said, Tony admitted. Tony gave him the paperwork so he knew exactly what, was said. And then he gave evidence. The police used to go in and visit them, a copper called Graham Mountshire, Inspector Mountshire.
Where was Ian Massey from?
Manchester.
Because he was like a supergrass.
Yeah, he's Supergrass. Yeah. He was a super.
So they're taking evidence off a Supergrass.
An armed robber who was doing 40. You know what? He went to jail for robbing Tesco's in Swansea with shotguns.
Fucking
that's mental.
And yet they're taking his evidence to convict Tony.
Yeah, it's credible.
Mental.
But then you had a woman called Violet.
Graham Mountshire, you said, didn't you? You said Violet Perriam.
Yeah, Violet Perriam, right? Yeah. Well, let's go into Violet Perriam. You had Violet Perriam who said she was passing James Street at whatever time in the night, and she seen me outside the building with a friend of mine called Rashid Omar, Wibberty, and she used to work in my health centre, but she wasn't my doctor. You know, when you go in the doctors, you got different cubicles. She was in like a third one up, you know what I mean? But she also worked in the Cardiff Bay Yacht Club, where the police used to drink.
Was it like a posh one, is it?
Yeah, it's one of, yacht club, we're not yacht people. So you know what I mean? So it's kind of posh.
We're fucking rubber dinghies, man.
So, we're dingy people, you know what I mean? So the police, that was their drinking then. You know what I mean? They used to go there in the nights drinking then.
She'd be a good fit for the.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So then Violet Penny, she said she was with her daughter going home that night, but her daughter was sleeping. Daughter was sleeping. She didn't see nothing. Yeah, which is pathetic. She didn't even drive past there. Do you know what I mean?
No,
it was proven that she didn't even drive past it that night.
Shocking.
Do you know what I mean? And she certainly never seen me. So the judge said about her evidence, it's completely crazy. Don't even listen to her evidence. So Violet Pettiam, she kind of like waltzed around because where the main thing of being on the police, she'd been like in the background. You know what I mean? Nothing really mentioned. But she was one of the main witnesses for the police to give false evidence. That's confirmed. So you can put this in there. Do you know what I mean? There's it's all on the court record.
Yeah, no, listen, we'll keep it as raw as we can.
One thing I did want to ask as well is, and I think people will be interested, have you ever seen any of the police officers since that situation?
I have. Only in court proceedings.
So you've never seen them on the streets?
No. Then people's not going to be in my world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've seen them up in... I used to see him in the Crown Court when we went up there.
What was their, did you ever get any sort of, never an apology?
They're not going to have I don't want an apology off them. I don't want them coming by me and saying, no, John, I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? They can't come by me.
Like I said, the one was involved in baseball.
Yeah. Well, did you have an apology about...
we had an apology off South Wales Police. What's a piece of paper with an apology?
Yeah.
But then in the latest documentary, we had... the ex-chief constable, Matt Jukes, he's now with the Metropolitan. He apologised to us. He said we was victims.
He seemed all right, though, to be honest.
He seems a very genuine man.
Yeah.
And I respect I accept his apology from him. For the rest of them, I don't. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't around when this happened.
Yeah.
He wasn't the chief constable. But there was other chief constables over the years. You know what I mean? He stepped up to the mark and said it on TV. Do you know what I mean? Where the others have just shunned it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What's a typical day in the life of John Actie now? What do you do now? Do you get up in your own time?
I don't get up to nothing. usually I sit home. I come out, get my bits and bops, and I don't really do nothing. I got a couple of dogs. I just like, a bit of peace. You know what I mean? And it's not really much of change. The police attitudes are a bit different. But you're always going to get them. You got these big institutions. You're always going to get this kind of, bad vibes from some of them. But usually, I've had police stopping me now lately and saying, it's unbelievable what happened to you. This is young policemen.
Yeah, you will get it.
Do you ever reflect on? Do you sit on your own and reflect while the whole situation?
Of course you do. Yeah, of course you do. You sit down and think about, Jesus God. Sometimes sometimes you sit down and laugh. It's strange. You might think, well, you laugh. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I do. I sit down and laugh. And I think to myself, did they really think they was going to get away with it? Did they really think my family would have left me in jail for all them? It wouldn't have happened. My mother wouldn't have left me in jail.
No.
My mother was my idol. I loved her. I was, you know what I mean? She wouldn't have left me in jail. My older brother wouldn't have. My older sister wouldn't have left me in jail.
Yeah.
My other sister, they wouldn't have left me. They would have carried on until carried on fighting. So it's been a very long struggle. Do you know what I mean? And it still goes on.
Yeah. Do you know what, mate? It's absolutely so inspiring to hear your story and to see your, just see how you've managed to go through this and still tell the tale.
Easy.
Yeah, it's this is
another resurgence.
Our podcast, right? We wanted to create this podcast so we can show a voice, adversity, and people getting through adversity. And this story in the whole of the UK is probably the worst story that people probably will ever hear in terms of just going through the worst situation ever in life.
Justice.
It's been a pleasure to actually hear your side of the story, and we didn't want to come on here. We wanted to hear your feelings and your emotion of like what it's been like, really, because that's the main reason why we wanted you to hear today. If people want to see the BBC documentary, it's online. It's a lot more. They got the recordings. You can see but we wanted to feel your emotion. We wanted to hear your story, and we wanted you to paint your picture. And
it's been a pleasure, guys. You've been here. If I could help anyone, if it opens the eyes to everyone else. else, and it stops it from happening again because I'm speaking out.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? 150%. You know what I mean? I'm really
because there was that situation with there was another situation recently with the police in what was that?
Mahmood.
Yeah.
Oh, Mahmood. Yeah, I know the family. Yeah.
So
Do you ever do
that's one that we need
campaigns for
to
anyone else?
I would, you know, because I feel I should be out there speaking more, but I'm not really a speaker.
I think what you're doing now, podcasting here, I'm sure you've got other interviews come in.
Oh, yeah.
Documentaries,
Yeah.
this is you doing your bit, mate.
Yeah,
you
well,
could
exactly.
easily go away, lock yourself in and think, be against the world. You're doing this, mate. So
Well, I'm
man.
here to show awareness of what happened to us, and I hope it don't happen to someone else ever again, because to push someone through these ordeals, it's there for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They've got to live with it for the rest. As the police can go home and put their head on the pillow and go to sleep because they don't care. These coppers were racist.
Yeah.
How can you arrest 5 black guys and you're looking for the white guy? Just tell me how.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
No, exactly.
But they done it, and the jury believed what they said.
I've got a couple of names here, and I want to mention.
Okay.
We normally do what you rather's with everyone, something a bit fun, light-hearted.
Wanted to
I
spin
don't
more
even. I want
serious.
this to be serious. I don't want to take the novel, as a novelty. So, but I've got some names. If you could answer them, describe them in a sentence or a word.
Yeah,
It's up to you. Okay, the first one is Stephen Miller.
Vulnerable, a man who was used by the police and abused in his interviews. No problem with Stephen Miller at all. He's not a bad person. He's never killed no one. I knew him from the area because he come from Brick. He seems a nice guy to me. I got no problem with Stephen.
Yeah. Tony Paris.
Tony, I've known him most of my life. Never hung around with him. Always used to see him. It broke him. Shoplifter. Do you know what I mean? Good guy. He never hurt no one before he went here. Do you know what I mean? Never.
Yusuf Abdullahi.
Dullah, I never had nothing to do with Dullah neither. Do you know what I mean? I see him on the street. My heart goes out to what happened to him as well. He's no longer here to say anything. So I never had nothing to do with Yusuf. He seemed all right guy, but I didn't hang around with him.
Yeah. Your cousin, Ronnie
Ronnie,
Actie.
man, I love my cousin Ronnie. Do you know what I mean? He was a good cousin, even though we never hang around together or nothing like that. But we looked out for each other when we was in jail, and I'll always love my cousin Ronnie.
Al Sharpton.
Oh, Al Sharpton's says it all, don't it? Without Al Sharpton, that was a platform. Do you know what I mean? To kick it all off. Brilliant man, top guy. Top guy.
Jeffrey Gafford.
Oh, he's a monster. Jeffrey Gafford is nothing but a monster. Keep him in jail. As far as I'm concerned, you could keep him in jail for the rest of his life. He killed a girl, messed up other people. Well, he didn't mess up our lives. The police messed up our lives. Do you know what I mean? Jeffrey Gafford is a monster. That's all I can say about Jeffrey Gafford.
I think didn't really want to, but we have to. It's about her. Lynette White.
Lynette White's young lady killed for no reason at all other than apparently 30 quid. Do you know what I mean? No one deserves that. No one.
And finally, South Wales Police.
South Wales Police, they're a lot onto themselves. I don't know what's happening with South Wales Police now, but, things didn't really get better. Things, you seem to think they are getting better, but then you hear a different couple of cases like young Mahmood. What happened to young Mahmood? But,
It's happened over the years up in Fairwater. With Marcus Harris.
Yeah, Mac was my good friend.
Yeah.
Mac, you sang. Me and Mac was like that.
Was you? Yeah.
Me and Mac.
I've grown up with all the boys.
what,
Angela,
yeah,
I love her to bits, and they should do something on that. I think because
well, there you go. That was Bristol Police.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Me and Mac, you go and see Angela and all
Yeah,
of
like
them.
what?
They'll tell you.
shout out to Angela, shout out to all the Harris
Yeah,
brothers.
all the Harris
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
Yeah. You ask
and
them.
those
You go and
Tony,
see them.
Kyle, Courtney,
Yeah,
Ryan,
all of
Marcus,
them,
all of them.
Yeah,
my
you
boys
tell
from day.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Max was my good friend. At the end of the day, South Wales Police, they do what they want when they want. They can do what they want. The police, not just South Wales Police, the police can do what they want. It just showed exactly what they done to us, and they still got away with it.
And do you know what? One last thing we like to do, Cole. If you could just look into that camera there and give the people of Cardiff a message, and in fact the people of the UK, because there's going to be people who are inspired by this story all across the UK and probably worldwide. So tell what your advice to those people and your message.
Well, my advice is to the people out there is, just listen to the stories. What happened before to us, I hope it never ever happens again to anyone. And I'm just happy I come over and done this interview with all these people, because what happened to us is should never happen to anyone else in their lives, because it's always stuck with us for the rest of our lives. And it'll stick with us until we're dead, all because South Wales police, racist police, fitted us up. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, John. Honestly, it's been a real pleasure, real eye-opener. Thank you so much. Wow, we've got some big hands.
All right.
Some big hands.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, counting all that money, innit? That's what it is.
I ain't got no money.
What's the jacket you got on there then?
That's the local boxing club, the ABC.
Shout out to them.
Tiger Bay Boxing Club.
Tiger Bay
Repping them,
Boxing Shop,
Nice.
and top boxing club, and everyone who's out there from every estate, get your kids down there and get into the gym. And
You're still in Butetown. You're still
I'll die in Butetown. I hope so. Do you know what I mean? I ain't moving from Butetown.
Yeah.
I don't want to die yet. Do you know what I mean? I got a while yet. I'm only 60. Do you know what I mean? So
They're gonna make a film about this first.
Keep fighting for what you believe and just keep pressing on and keep doing these, because it's inspired me so much. And
no worries.
Thank you so much for coming
Anything
down,
I can
man.
help, guys.
Stay central, everyone, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Stay central.
Amazing.
The Central Club.